Alright, so I'm literally super happy right now because I checked out finally a little bit more about DC brushless motors. Now, the whole concept of a DC brushless motor is that you set up a configuration, then you power it with a motor, and it spins faster than obviously the motor. Great. Got a link to the YouTube video in here on how this guy made a simple one out of like a bait can and a bunch of metal screws and stuff. I think if you use plastic screws, there'd be less resistance because magnets won't want to like be attracted to the metal. Therefore, your motor doesn't have to be as strong to power the rotation, you know. And magnets aren't really attracted to copper. There's a relationship, but it's not really attracted. You know, the eddy current. So I was right with my original design. Okay, I believe that you need to, because what he did in his video is that he had an axle, stuck a block of wood on the axle, and put 4 magnets on the block of wood. Everything's connected. When you rotate, you know, and then again, his solenoids go to a motor when he's putting the energy this way instead of taking the energy that way. It's as simple as that, okay? He's providing, you know, rotation via a controller into the system to turn the axle, and it gets amplified based on, like, he just puts in volts or whatever, and then it gets turned based on the configuration, the number of winds in the solenoid, how close the magnets are to the solenoids, yada yada yada. But he only has magnets on the axle, on the interior wheel, with the smaller wheel with the exterior magnets, like in my design. So again, if your exterior wheel and your interior wheel are connected to an axle going around the solenoid, but you are not using the solenoid wires to go to a controller to push energy into the system to cause rotation. If you had a mechanical, I don't know, George Green magnetic motor, if you had that concept, which is basically just your ring with your magnet on an axle with bearings, wheel, whatever, you know, and you create a little bit of motion. Okay, he used metal screws, again, plastic screws, or how about printing it in 3D printer, you know? It's not going to be magnetized to it. Wrap your copper on the solenoids 400 times. When you have magnets on the inside and the outside of the solenoid connected both to the axle, I think that's going to rotate like a motherfucker. And you're going to be pushing energy out from the wires. And what you do with that, you know, you can measure, you can test, you can see what the fuck is going on. So I literally have been lazy, like I've said before. I mean, I wish I tried harder in school. If only I tried hard in school instead of getting drunk 4 nights a week. It is what it is. So I've been connecting the dots, you know. I have faith in the design, like, of this actual cell, but, like, you know, with the corners being recessed, it's more like a soccer ball, let's say. It would be a 14-sided shape, which is not an icosahedron. I don't know what that is. Whatever, Google it. I don't give a shit. But again, 3 and 5. 3 makes 4 makes 5 makes 6. Armageddon consciousness. I'm really amped now about, again, creating a 2x2x2 inside a 6x6x6 inside an 8x8x8, and expanding off that outward, okay, with repetitive 8x8x8 faces and whatever the hell it is, scaled down vertices, because again, the magnets are going to be smaller on the vertices, on the smaller wheels. Your magnets are going to be smaller. Again, you can do, there's a calculation, I can't remember what it's basically like. It tells you you need the magnetic, you need the strength of the magnet in whatever fucking units that is. I can't remember, but you can calculate number of turns, the diameter of the coil, and the strength of the magnetic field to determine the other variable. Again, I should try harder, eh? But anyways, so it should be a way. I told you energy's scalable, so if it works on one face, it should be able to work on the vertices the same way, just scaled down. However, you're still not gonna get the same amount of power because your magnets are gonna be smaller, they're gonna be outputting less. I want to say that. I don't know, I got to test it. Oh fuck, cat. So hear me out. 3 wheels, because I don't think 1 wheel will be spinning fast enough to do anything constructive. I think 3 wheels are needed on the faces of the bigger wheels, and 5 wheels are needed on the smaller wheels. And I think they will come up to about the same. Again, experimentation. Now, the guy made it out of a bait canister and a bunch of screws, a bunch of leftover copper and whatnot. Okay, remember that copper wire has a coating on it. Therefore, it can touch the screws, it can touch everything else. It's just when you nick it, or if you like flame it, you take the coating off. Okay, you need to do that at the ends to connect them. But everything should be fine when it's all wound together. So it's not a problem. So, man, if I could walk with the animals, talk with the animals here, guys. You know? Seriously? Like cat and dog. Man, they follow me around. The cat's a dog to me. It acts like a dog. So, I'm a little amped right now because I see this as entirely plausible. Now, it takes me back to Freemasonry, okay? And this is the big one, okay? Euclid's 47th problem. 47 is dog. My dog cat. Anyways, right backwards is God. Euclid's 47th problem is all about understanding the basis of creating a solid foundation. Now, why would a solid foundation be important? To create your green's magnetic motor, okay? You need to have your ring positioned perfectly, in symmetry, because it models the earth and models the lights in our sky. You're creating a universe. And you're not pushing, you're pulling. You're taking the energy. You're collecting the energy from the Schumann resonance of the earth, let's say. Sounds smart, I'm gonna say that some more. So, yeah, like there you go, guy. Really, I do think that, I mean, I kept saying make it out of wood, make it whatever. Now I'm thinking, I've seen the application now. I've seen a steel shaft, a steel axle being used with metal bearings. I understand now that the magnets are going to want to be centered with the solenoids because, like the video that I'm going to link, it pulls it there, which I didn't know before, which is cool. So like it's going to find the sweet spot on its own. But I mean, again, if you print it in 3D, your the smaller wheel with your 8 exterior magnets and the bigger wheel with your 42 interior magnets, I can actually 3D print that, which means I can actually 3D print my wire. I want to use ring magnets too. I don't want to use bar magnets. I want to use ring magnets because I'm different than everyone else. But you can actually recess exactly where, with software, where all your circles are going to be. So that when, it's like basically just epoxy put in a circle where you go. North, south, north, south, north, south, north, south, north, south, north, south. Connect to the axle. You should be getting mega spin on this. Now, I could be wrong, maybe you don't need 3 and 5, but whatever, right? All about experimentation at this point. So if I'm able to 3D print the solenoid, like the things that I'm gonna wind the solenoids on, okay? If I'm able to 3D print that, okay, and make it like symmetrical and balanced, and just make a whole bunch of them, and wind a whole bunch of things, it doesn't take a long time to wind copper on stuff, okay? It doesn't, okay? You just gotta know clockwise, counterclockwise, clockwise, counterclockwise. I think with 3-pole you can still do, he did a 4-pole one. I put a little question on this, I put a comment there because I'm positive if you go like negative A, negative A, B, negative B, B, negative C, C, negative C. I think it's the same thing, just you're reducing a pole. And I do think that if you had 3 wheels, you'd have your instead of your A, B, C going to a controller, you would have your A's tied into the A's, tied into the A's, your B's, 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 C's, C's, C's per quadrant. So you're gonna have 4 quadrants of these. When that all happens, you're gonna be pushing power out to these wires. You don't be pulling, you know, okay, like, you know, making a propeller and or IC car or some kind of like jalopy device of, you know, BattleBot might be fun and all, but it's not very productive in terms of ending slavery and producing free energy for everyone based on something that anyone with a 3D printer could do. Now, again, I'm a little bit behind the curve. I haven't really applied myself. If I only tried a little harder. But I don't like to do, like, I really like to plan. I like to plan out what I'm gonna do before I do it. I wanna know everything inside and out of what I wanna do. And since I'm doing something that doesn't really seem to have been done, other than maybe Gerald Morey, but that guy's like a ghost to me. I don't know what he's doing, if he's powering it, but he's measuring when it gets out, and like, it's a controller shit. You don't need like a controller. What if you just knew what the output was gonna be? Okay, or had a rough idea, or like could basically, okay, now I'm thinking about the voltage. Remember I talked about voltage, current? Okay, you have your cell, your cellular earth, your cellular energy, whatever. box, cube in the middle. It's like Frankenstein with the bolt and the bolt, okay? Think about that story, okay? How does he come back to life from the dead? He's got two bolts, okay? These are your voltage and your voltage, and you are the current. You are your energy. You are energy, because without you in this earth, shit wouldn't get done. And other people would have to expense their energy to do the things that you would be doing. Even if it was simple as picking up a piece of trash on the sidewalk as you were passing by. Someone else would have to do that, or they wouldn't. Okay? Everything you do matters. Okay? Because the most important thing you have is what you do with your time, with your energy. Now, my eyes are wide open now. I would love to 3D, I would love to model this. I need to get a computer, like, my mom even offered to get me a computer, okay? I have a little bit of stuff. I think I'm gonna sell everything I have. You know, I'm gonna try to sell everything I can on like whatever people sell shit on to try to get some dollars. Like, I really don't want to find a job. I just can't think of anything I want to do that's not gonna make me angry. Like, you know, like, isn't that important to be happy with your work? If you don't like what you do, change it. Well, I really want to do this, okay? Now, again, I left Carlton Place. I'm done with Carlton Place. Yeah, just ended poorly around September 23rd. So there's still that opportunity, maybe, potentially. I don't know, it's up in the air. But I do now think I have everything it takes to talk with people with a certain level of intellectualism and with an applied science approach to all the theories and all the ideas I've had about everything about creation. Okay, and again, all spawned from Genesis 1, the creation of the earth, the creation of cellular energy. Okay, now, been thinking about the movies and everything, you know, why do they make what they make? Well, you know, who's the Academy? Who is the Academy? Who are these Masons? Okay, they judge the creators based on their creations of how closely they can tell the same story over and over again, differently. It's just like I keep saying about you and me, okay? I might come up with phrases and words, put them together, put them in gematria, and get these fucking crazy numbers out of it, which mean all these things, but you can come up with a different phrase, which means the exact same number. That's why we all come to our conclusions a different way. We all have a different path to the Creator, okay? There's no number that's any worse or any better than any other number. That's one thing I've learned, okay? So, again, 3 makes 4 makes 5 makes 6. I am not looking for just creating rotation. I'm looking for rotation to be created to produce a certain level of output which will better our lives and power our devices so that we can get away from the monopoly corporations of the energy sector. It's going to fuck up the global market. It'll literally be kind of like a Armageddon to say, but not for you and me. It's going to be end of the world for the controllers of life, the Masonic corporations, for the bullshit slavers of life, okay? If you had free energy, and you had shelter, and you had all the devices that you need to be comfortable, meaning heat, air conditioning, whatever, a blender if you want to blend stuff, you know what I'm saying? Why are we paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to live in a cube in a city where you cannot sustain life? You don't have enough land. I see all these little like projects being built, little Canadas and Bar Havens and Orleanses, and Carlton Place is becoming a new Bar Haven. Okay, they're just cookie cutter little postage stamp houses that cost probably upwards of $400,000 to live in yourself, so you can live off the grocery store, go to work, be a slave, retire. And because you ate all that shit food all your life, you're probably gonna die a year after you retire anyway, so you're never gonna collect on the work you've done, okay? They have it down to pretty much a science, I think. Slavery, that is. You don't think this is Egypt? Prove me wrong. You don't think this is Rome? Prove me wrong, okay? All the signs and symbols are there. They've been there all your lives, okay? You just need to see it. And I mean, I think now that I've literally convinced myself 110%. So, the next steps for Kevin, write a book? No, because I can have a very quick explanation with anyone, really, and convey this message to them, and they should be, if they have understanding of what I'm talking about, they should be able to follow what I've done based on the audio-visual jargon that I have created. Anyways, I'm running out of time. I'm not gonna write a book, I'd rather experiment. Cheers means engineer.